Title: Through the Veil. Chapter 1. The Ordinary World. Elena Carter woke up to the sun's rays peeking through the curtains, casting playful patterns across her bedroom wall. The light danced lightly on her face, as if trying to coax her out of sleep, but she groaned and rolled over, pulling the blanket tightly around her shoulders. She had always loved mornings, but not today. Today was just another day in a world that felt more like a cage than a sanctuary. The buzzing of her phone interrupted the blissful moment of denial. Elena dug through her pile of clothes to find it, finally wrenching it free. The notifications flooded her screen, announcing a cacophony of homework reminders, social media updates, and an alarming number of memes. She grimaced at the sight of a group chat exploding with messages. Ugh, another day, another stressor, she murmured to herself as she reluctantly swung her legs over the side of her bed. She stood up, rubbing her eyes and stifling a yawn. The mirror reflected a girl with tousled dark hair framing a face marked by late-night study sessions and countless cups of coffee. She dressed quickly in her usual thrift store jeans and a worn band tee, the fabric comforting against her skin. It was a style that said, "I don't care," but deep down, she wished to be recognized for more than just her laid-back attitude. "Elena, breakfast is ready," her mom's voice called from downstairs. "Coming," she shouted back, trudging down the hallway. As she entered the kitchen, the scents of pancakes and syrup filled the air, a comforting aroma she had relied on since childhood. Her dad sat at the table, reading the paper, while her younger brother, Max, harped on about his latest video game exploits. She tried to focus on their conversation, but her mind hazed over with thoughts of algebra exams and the crushing pressure to perform. "Earth to Elena," Max said, snapping his fingers in front of her face. "Sorry. I was just thinking," she replied with a smile, masking her worries. "About what? Your ultimate fail in math next week," he teased. "Haha, very funny," she shot back, playfully shoving him with her elbow. "Just remember, the only way to survive high school is to stock up on snacks and procrastinate until the last minute," he quipped, earning an eye roll from Elena. After breakfast, she grabbed her bag, slung it over her shoulder, and stepped outside, squinting against the brilliant morning sunlight. Her high school loomed ahead, a sprawling building with faded brick walls that echoed the laughter and frustrations of countless students. Walking through the halls, Elena felt the familiar buzz of energy envelop her, but it was like being on the outside looking in. She lurked on the edges of each group, half participating in conversations, feeling a nagging sense of isolation gnawing at her. Today, the weight of it bore down even harder, making each step feel heavier. Classes passed in a blur of numbers and dates, and the hours dragged on interminably. During lunch, she found herself sitting alone at her usual table, idly scrolling through her phone. The cafeteria buzzed around her, laughter and chatter creating a soundtrack of teenage life. Friends joked, shared secrets, and plotted their weekend plans, while Elena struggled to find her place amid the chaotic din. As the bell rang, signaling the end of lunch, Elena gathered her things and headed to her last class, math. She took her seat at the back of the classroom, hoping to blend into the background. But then it happened. During a lesson on quadratics, her classmate, Jake, who had a knack for making her life miserable, began to antagonize her from the front row. "Hey, Elena, maybe if you spent less time daydreaming, you wouldn't flunk that algebra test." Laughter erupted from the class, and she felt the heat rise in her cheeks. Anger surged through her, a boiling wave that she had difficulty containing. Just as her teacher turned away, something inside her snapped. She focused on her math book, desperation fueling her frustration. The air crackled with energy, and suddenly, papers around her erupted into a whirlwind, spinning wildly in the classroom. Shock and awe filled the faces of her classmates as the swirling tornado of notes and homework fluttered around the room like confetti. "Whoa, what the?" Jake stammered, his bravado faltering as the papers whirled past him. "Elena, stop it," her teacher shouted, voice sharp and incredulous. But Elena was too astonished, and a strange sensation coursed through her, a mix of exhilaration and fear. The storm of papers vanished as quickly as it had begun, leaving the classroom in stunned silence. A mixture of shock and confusion washed over Elena. What had just happened? Did she do that? It felt surreal, like something out of a fantasy novel, yet here she was, surrounded by her bewildered classmates. The bell rang, breaking the stillness, and Elena darted out of the classroom, her heart racing. She pushed her way down the crowded hall, overwhelming thoughts flooding her mind. Magic? Could it be possible? She headed home in a daze, her mind racing with questions about what she had experienced. She needed answers. Once home, Elena knew where to go, the attic. It was a place she had avoided for years, shrouded in dust and old memories. Her grandmother had lived there before passing away, leaving behind an ancient world she had never fully explored. As Elena climbed the creaky wooden steps, a mix of dread and excitement washed over her. The attic door creaked open, revealing a cluttered space. Boxes piled high, covered in dust, whispered secrets of days gone by. Maybe there's something here that can help me understand, she murmured to herself. She dug through the boxes, her heart racing as she searched for anything that could explain her abilities. After several minutes of sifting through old clothes and knickknacks, something caught her eye, a weathered, leather-bound book, glowing faintly as if inviting her to touch it. Elena's fingers brushed the cover, and a warm energy coursed through her, tingling along her skin. She turned the book over, revealing intricate designs etched into its surface, symbols and runes that seemed to pulse with magic. She opened it cautiously, heart in her throat, revealing pages filled with strange writings and illustrations of fantastical realms. One illustration caught her eye, a shimmering portal surrounded by ancient trees, beckoning her as if whispering promises of adventure. The room seemed to blur around her. The air thickened with a warm, electric atmosphere. It felt as if the book was alive, sensing her presence and drawing her in. Elena stared at the portal illustration, her heart pounding in her chest. Could this be a way out? She whispered, her curiosity igniting a spark of hope. She had felt trapped for too long, but this was her chance, a chance to understand the magic inside her and the mysterious world beyond. As she clutched the book tightly, a rush of determination surged through her veins. This was only the beginning. Chapter 2: The Portal's Call. Elena sat cross-legged in the middle of her grandmother's attic, the air thick with dust and the faint scent of aged paper. Sunlight filtered through a small, grimy window, casting ethereal patterns on the wooden floor as she scrutinized the ancient book she had unearthed moments earlier. Its leather cover, worn and cracked, held an alluring energy, as though the very essence of magic coursed through its pages. She had always been drawn to stories of magic and adventure, but the reality of the day's earlier events loomed larger than the intrigue of the book. Was it possible that she really had done something extraordinary? The memory of the swirling papers flooded her mind, and she shook her head, attempting to dispel the cloud of doubt hanging over her. One thing was certain. She needed to know more about what she was discovering. With a flutter of anticipation, she opened the book, the spine creaking in protest. The pages were filled with intricate illustrations, ancient symbols, and elaborate handwriting that twisted and turned across the parchment like a living story. The first few pages presented a striking image of a realm that shimmered with colors she had never seen, lush forests topped with golden leaves, skies painted in shades of violet and turquoise, and creatures that danced between realms, weaving in and out of view. As she turned the pages, Elena began to decipher the faded text. It spoke of her family's legacy, one steeped in magic and enchantment. Her heart raced as she read about the Ether, a realm accessible through portals that only certain bloodlines could summon. Centuries ago, Elena read aloud, the Carter family protected the gateways between worlds, serving as guardians of balance and harmony. Through these portals, our ancestors traveled, exploring realms filled with infinite possibility. As she continued reading, Elena discovered that the portals connected not just different places, but different dimensions, each with its own unique essence and enchantment. Some were serene and beautiful, while others were violent and filled with shadow. The book spoke of heroes and villains, of quests that shaped the fate of entire realms. With each passing moment, her skepticism began to wane, replaced by the thrill of adventure calling to her from the pages. Maybe this is all just a story, she murmured, biting her lip. But what if? Her eyes widened as an illustration caught her attention, a depiction of a portal framed by ancient, twisted trees, their gnarled roots intersecting in intricate patterns. The colors surrounding the portal shimmered, beckoning her, and a familiar pulse resonated within her, the same sensation she felt during her earlier outburst at school. Elena flipped to the next page, and her breath caught in her throat. It was a map, old and detailed, illustrating various portals scattered across different landscapes, dense forests, misty mountains, and vast oceans. Glimmering dots indicated the locations as if they were real places waiting to be discovered. She traced a finger over the closest portal, marked with a swirling design, the very same shape that adorned the cover of the book. A shiver ran down her spine, a tingle of recognition. This wasn't just a book, it was a call to adventure, an invitation to step through the threshold into the unknown. Elena felt a sudden wave of longing. What if I could find this portal? She whispered to herself, heart racing at the thought. She imagined stepping through the vibrant colors, leaving behind the constraints of her ordinary life, embarking on a journey filled with magic and wonder. Yet, alongside her excitement lingered a wave of doubt. But how can I be sure? I just learned I have magic, she reasoned, memories of her classmates' surprised faces rushing back. What if it's too dangerous? What if I can't control it? She closed the book gently, her chest tightening with apprehension. The attic, once filled with memories of her grandmother's life and wisdom, now felt heavy with secrets she was only beginning to unravel. As she sat in silence, the shadows in the corners of the room grew longer, stretching as if to remind her of the unknown lurking in the depths of magic. Hours passed as she drifted in and out of her thoughts, contemplating the weight of her lineage and the potential that lay before her. Even the dusk creeping through the attic window felt different, charged with an electric atmosphere that hummed in her bones. That night, after a meager dinner with her family and a hurried round of homework, Elena climbed back up to the attic. The book sat on the floor, glowing faintly as if it had a heartbeat of its own. She felt an undeniable pull, a yearning to explore deeper. With a notebook in hand, she settled down beneath the light of her small desk lamp. The familiar words began to wash over her again, and she scribbled notes on everything she could glean, about the Guardians, the other realms, and the rules governing each portal. Suddenly, exhaustion crept in and began to dull her senses. She yawned, her eyelids heavy, and before she knew it, sleep enveloped her like a warm embrace. In dreams, she found herself wandering back to the attic, but this time the air shimmered with the ethereal glow of magic. The book lay open, its pages swirling with colors as though alive, and the gnarled portal trees danced in the background, beckoning her to step closer. "Find me, Elena," a voice whispered, soft yet powerful, echoing through her mind like a gentle breeze. She turned toward the sound, her heart pounding in anticipation. The portal thrummed at her side, a whirlwind of colors inviting her to step through. She hesitated, uncertainty creeping in. "What if I'm not ready?" she pondered, biting her lip. "Think of the adventure," the voice encouraged, ringing with the promise of discovery, and a sense of assurance washed over her. Taking a deep breath, she stepped forward. The moment her foot crossed the threshold, a rush of energy swirled around her like a whirlwind. Colors exploded into light, wrapping around her, and she felt as if she were being pulled in every direction at once. The sensation was both exhilarating and terrifying, and the voice urged her on, bright and vivid like a siren's call. "Embrace your legacy." Then, the light intensified, and as Elena reached out, she felt an extraordinary force envelop her, igniting something deep within. Then, just as quickly, the world around her began to fade, a flash of brilliance, and she found herself standing in front of a radiant portal, shimmering and alive. As its brilliance enveloped her, she awoke with a start, the early morning light seeping through the window and illuminating the attic. Heart pounding, she sat up, memories of the dream vivid and overwhelming, the feeling of the portal still fresh in her mind. Elena stared at the book, her heart racing with determination. It was no longer a matter of disbelief. The magic coursed through her, connecting her to her ancestors and a destiny she hadn't asked for but desperately felt called to embrace. "Find the portal," she whispered to herself, resolve hardening in her chest. "I'm ready to discover who I really am." As she contemplated her next steps, the day stretched before her like a blank canvas, the thought of adventure igniting a fire in her heart. She was on the brink of something extraordinary, and the portals beckoned her to find them, to explore the magic that pulsed within her veins and beyond. For the first time in her life, Elena felt like she was about to write her own story, a story that transcended the ordinary confines of her reality. The world of Etheria awaited her. Chapter 3. The First Leap. As dawn broke, a golden haze washed over the world, illuminating the old garden behind Elena's house. This secluded patch of nature, often overlooked and tangled in ivy and vines, had belonged to her grandmother. To Elena, it felt like an entirely different world, a remnant of the past brimming with memories, secrets, and whispers of magic. With the ancient book nestled under her arm, she stepped outside, heart racing at the prospect of adventure. The garden had grown wild over the years, with flora spilling over pathways and the air thick with the scent of blooming jasmine and roses. Sunlight filtered through the leaves, casting dappled shadows on the ground as she made her way deeper into the enchanting landscape. "Here goes nothing," she whispered to herself, clutching the book tightly as she navigated through the twists of the overgrown garden. Guided by the remnants of her dream and a growing sense of purpose, Elena stepped through the garden, searching for the portal she had caught glimpses of in her nighttime vision. The trees towered over her like ancient sentinels, their branches heavy with green leaves, while hidden paths beckoned between the thickets. Finally, she reached a secluded glen, a small clearing framed by towering willow trees that draped their tendrils down like curtains. In the heart of the clearing lay an ancient stone archway, worn and cracked, entwined with delicate vines and ethereal flowers that shimmered softly as if alive. It was just as she had imagined from the book. Could this be the portal she had been dreaming about? Elena approached the archway with a mix of trepidation and excitement. The book throbbed against her chest as she stood before it, sensing an unseen energy pulsating through the air. Taking a deep breath, she flipped through the pages until she found the illustration of the portal she had seen in her dreams. "Let's see if the words have any power," she murmured, her voice barely breaking the stillness of the garden. Finding the section that detailed an invocation for activating the portal, she steadied herself and began to read aloud, feeling the magic swirl around her like a warm embrace. "By the roots of the earth and the stars in the sky, I call upon the portal. Let me not pass by." As her voice faded, the garden erupted into an explosion of color and light. The air crackled with energy, resonating with the very pulse of the earth beneath her feet. The vines around the archway shimmered, and light poured from the stones, illuminating the glen in a dazzling display. Elena felt an undeniable pulse of magic, drawing her closer to the archway. Just then, the ground trembled slightly, and the stone arch shifted, revealing a swirling portal within its embrace, a vortex of color and luminescence that spiraled like a whirlpool beckoning her to step forward. With her heart pounding in her chest, she hesitated for a heartbeat, glancing back toward her home. Thoughts raced through her mind, questions of safety, of reality, of what awaited her on the other side. But this was what she had envisioned, what she had felt pulling her toward adventure. "I'm ready," she whispered, steeling her resolve. Emboldened, she stepped into the portal, the world around her dissolving into a kaleidoscope of colors. It was as if she were being swept away in a current of pure magic, pulled through dimensions, and all at once, she felt exhilarated and terrified. Everything around her spun, a vibrant tapestry of sights and sounds enveloping her, and she closed her eyes, letting herself be carried with the energy of it all. Just when she thought she might be overwhelmed, a sudden jolt snapped her back to reality. With a soft thud, she landed on soft grass, the sensation grounding her as she opened her eyes to a breathtaking vista. Elena blinked in disbelief. She was no longer in her grandmother's garden, but in Etheria, a mystical realm bursting with vibrant colors, fantastical landscapes, and creatures she had only read about in fairy tales. The sky was a swirling spectrum of hues, blending pinks, purples, and deep blues, and fluffy clouds glided lazily overhead like great cotton balls. The terrain before her was an emerald field dotted with flowers that shimmered like jewels in the gentle breeze. Wow, she breathed, awestruck by the beauty surrounding her. This is incredible. As she took in her surroundings, the sound of laughter echoed nearby, piquing her curiosity. She turned to see a figure darting between the trees, moving with a grace and agility that seemed almost inhuman. Intrigued, she followed the sounds, her heart quickening with anticipation. Suddenly, as she rounded a cluster of flowers, she stumbled into a small clearing where a boy, a little older than her, playfully swinging from a branch. Sunlight glinted off his tousled auburn hair, and his bright green eyes sparkled with mischief. "Whoa there," he exclaimed, landing lightly on the ground as he noticed her approach. "Did you just come from the portal?" The last one did a crazy dance in the air before landing flat on their face. Elena blinked, taken aback by his charm and exuberance.
Yes.
"That was me. I'm Elena," she replied, trying to regain her composure. "Finn," he grinned, flashing a smile that seemed to light up the clearing. "Welcome to Etheria. You're a long way from home, aren't you?" "You could say that," she said, still overwhelmed by the grandeur of the realm. I read about this place in my grandmother's book." Finn cocked his head, an amused expression on his face. The stories of the Elder Carters. They're quite renowned around here. You're not just any visitor. You're one of the magic bearers." "Magic bearers?" Elena echoed, a mix of confusion and excitement surging through her. "What do you mean?" Finn took a step closer, his expression shifting to one of intrigue. "Your family has a legacy here, you know. Portals, magic, all of it. You may not realize the depth of your power, but it flows through your blood." Elena felt her heart race. Everything she had read, all the whispers in her dreams, it was all true. "I think I activated the portal by accident," she admitted, her voice echoing her uncertainty. "I didn't know what to expect." Finn chuckled, a light-hearted sound that made her feel at ease. "Accident or not, you made it here, and your energy, it's different, like a rare flower blooming out of season. Etheria may hold answers for you, if you're willing to explore." His expression turned serious, and he continued, "But first, you should be careful. There are forces at play in this realm, and not everything is as it seems. You'll need allies if you intend to uncover your destiny." "Destiny," Elena repeated, her voice trembling slightly. "What do you mean?" "Let's just say we have some adventures ahead. And trust me, if you've already activated the portal, you're bound to attract attention, good and bad." Finn's eyes sparkled with mischief, but there was a weight behind his words that made her take pause. Elena's mind raced, caught between excitement and anxiety. A world of magic, adventure, and danger awaited her, and she felt a thrilling pulse of possibility surge within her. "Then I guess I'm all in," she declared, her resolve hardening. "Great. Follow me," Finn exclaimed, turning on his heel and dashing through the meadow, beckoning her to keep up. Elena sprinted after him, laughter bubbling up as they darted through fields of glowing flowers and sparkling streams, her heart light with the exhilaration of adventure. This was no longer a dream, it was her new reality, a leap into the unknown where magic awaited at every turn. And as she raced into Etheria, she couldn't shake the feeling that her destiny was unfolding right before her eyes. Each step brought her closer to a life filled with wonders beyond her imagination and challenges that would test her in ways she had yet to understand. Elena had taken her first leap, and there was no turning back. Chapter 4. Discovering Etheria. Elena dashed after Finn as he led her through the stunning landscape of Etheria, the vibrant world stretching out like a painter's palette, each color brighter and more vivid than anything she had experienced. Golden fields rolled beneath azure skies, dotted with fantastical creatures flitting from flower to flower. Sparkling streams wound through the terrain, their waters shimmering like liquid crystal under the bright sun. "Keep up," Finn called, glancing over his shoulder with a playful grin. "You haven't seen anything yet." With every step she took, the magic of Etheria wrapped around her like a warm embrace. At one point, a brightly feathered creature resembling a tiny dragon swooped down and perched atop her shoulder, chirping inquisitively at her. She couldn't help but laugh, feeling an overwhelming sense of wonder. Finn led her toward a series of terraced hills adorned with lush gardens and peculiar trees, each one seeming to tell a different story. "This is the Enchanted Grove," he explained, pointing at a massive colossal tree at its center. Its bark glinted with silver and the leaves shimmered with an array of colors. "The fauna here has magic in its very being. If you listen closely, you can hear the trees whispering their secrets." Elena tilted her head, closing her eyes and straining to catch the subtle rustling of the leaves. Indeed, as she listened intently, she could make out soft murmurs, a symphony of voices echoing through the branches. "That's amazing." Finn grinned, clearly pleased with her reaction. "Welcome to Etheria, a world full of magic, stories, and enchantments. But remember, magic has its cost." As they wandered through the grove, Finn introduced her to the various magical beings that populated Etheria. First, they encountered glimmering sprites, small creatures with butterfly wings that flitted around them, creating sparkling trails of light. Elena gasped as one darted forward, playfully tugging at her hair before returning to its companions in a flurry of giggles. "Those are luminous sprites. They're harmless but mischievous," Finn chuckled. "They love to play tricks on newcomers." Next, they came across a towering creature that resembled a cross between a bear and a tree. Its bark-like skin shifted and cracked as it moved, and its deep, rumbling voice echoed through the grove. "Welcome, travelers," the creature said, a gentle light glowing in its hollow eyes. "I am Bramble, the keeper of the grove. What brings you to our worlds?" Elena felt a thrill of excitement as she spoke. "I'm exploring. Finn is showing me around." Bramble nodded solemnly, his expression softening. "Be wary, young one. This world holds both wonders and dangers. Not all who wander here have noble intentions." Finn's expression shifted momentarily, the lightness in his gaze dimming. "We'll stay alert," he assured Bramble, giving Elena a pointed look. "There are dark forces at play, and we need to be vigilant." Elena glanced at Finn, curiously probing his expression. "What do you mean by dark forces?" Finn sighed, as if weighing the gravity of his words. "Lord Malachar," he said slowly, "is a powerful sorcerer determined to control all portals connecting our worlds. He seeks dominance over Etheria and the human realm, aiming to subjugate both. If he succeeds, he'll turn Etheria into a land of shadows, wiping out all magic in the process." Her heart raced at the thought, fear mingling with a growing determination. "But how can we stop him?" Finn's eyes brightened again. "We're not without our advantages. Each of us possesses a unique magic that can be harnessed to combat him. For example," he paused, glancing around, and then gestured to a nearby flower growing brightly in the sunlight. "Watch this." Closing his eyes, Finn raised his hand, and the flower began to resonate with energy. Gradually, it withdrew into the ground, as if disappearing into a portal, and in its place, a glowing orb formed. With a flick of his fingers, the orb floated towards Elena, sparkling like a miniature sun. "This is a gift from the earth," Finn explained. "In Etheria, everything is connected, and we can pull the magic out from the essence of nature itself." Elena was mesmerized. "Can I try?" "Absolutely," Finn replied, his excitement contagious. "Just focus and feel the energy around you." Taking a deep breath, she closed her eyes and let the essence of Etheria wash over her. She envisioned the flowers surrounding her, their colors pulsating with life, and she reached out, letting her mind intertwine with the heartbeat of the grove. The ground beneath her feet vibrated slightly, and to her amazement, a small vine crawled up her fingers and into the air, weaving magical energy that swirled into a brilliant flower-shaped orb. It pulsated brightly, and she felt a rush of confidence course through her. "Great job," Finn cheered, his eyes wide with admiration. "You've got potential." Together, they practiced retrieving energy from different aspects of the landscape, elaborate vines, shimmering waters, and ancient stones, growing more adept at channeling their magic as the sun arched above. After a lively session filled with laughter and experimentation, Finn turned serious again, drawing her attention back to their mission. "You need to know this. Lord Malachar has been searching for you, Elena."
Me?
"Why?" she stammered, a shiver creeping down her spine. "Because you're of Carter blood," he said emphatically. "You have the ability to traverse portals unlike anyone else. Your awakening of magic is a threat to him and a hope for Etheria." Elena felt both empowered and overwhelmed by the weight of his words. "But how can I possibly fight against someone like him?" "You're stronger than you think," Finn insisted, his gaze steady. "And you won't be alone in this battle. We'll gather our allies and face him together. We need each other. That's the true magic of Etheria." Just then, a low growl erupted from the shadows beyond the grove, cutting through the air like a knife. Both Elena and Finn froze, instincts kicking in as they exchanged wide-eyed glances. "What was that?" Elena whispered, heart racing. Finn's expression hardened. "We should check it out cautiously." With a shared nod of determination, they moved together toward the source of the noise, Elena's heart pounding in her chest. As they crept through the hidden paths of the grove, she couldn't shake the feeling that danger was ever present, lurking just beyond the brilliant landscapes of Etheria. Emerging into a larger clearing, they discovered the source of the growl, a figure cloaked in darkness, eyes glinting with menace, surrounded by a gathering of shadowy creatures that writhed like smoke. The figure's presence emanated despair, a stark contrast to the vibrant life surrounding them. "It's Malachar's minions," Finn hissed. "Quick, we need to hide." Elena's heart sank as she crouched behind a nearby bush, adrenaline coursing through her veins as the dark figure stepped forward. The presence of evil was palpable, and she instinctively reached for the magic still thrumming in her hands, ready to protect what she had just begun to embrace. "Look there," the figure spoke, voice low and chilling. "The portal to the human realm is under my control, and soon, the power of Etheria will be mine. Remember this day, for shadows will stretch far and wide." Elena glanced at Finn, whose expression was one of fierce determination mixed with fear. "We can't let them gain more power," she whispered urgently. "No," Finn replied, clenching his fists. "But we need to be smart about this. If we expose ourselves now, we'll be overwhelmed." Elena nodded, steeling herself as they retreated to the cover of the grove, determination igniting within her. She had only just discovered Etheria, and now the battle lines were being drawn against a dark sorcerer who threatened everything she had come to love. "There's so much to learn," she breathed, her heart racing. "But we can't let him win. Not after everything." Finn grabbed her shoulder, his eyes gleaming with resolve. "We'll gather allies and hone our abilities. Together, we'll make sure Etheria and your world remain safe. Let's not just discover magic. Let's wield it." As they slipped back into the grove, Elena felt the weight of destiny upon her shoulders, and she was ready to embrace every challenge that awaited in this vibrant, dangerous realm. Etheria was full of wonders, and she would fight to protect it, magic blooming within her as brightly as the world surrounding her. Chapter 5: The Awakening of Powers. The sun hung low in the sky, casting a golden hue over Etheria as Elena and Finn navigated the winding paths of the enchanted forest. The air was thick with anticipation, and Elena felt the thrill of what lay ahead, a hidden training space where young magic users hone their skills. "Just a little further," Finn said, glancing back at her with a grin. This place is something special. They arrived at a small clearing embraced by towering trees whose trunks glimmered with a faint luminescence. In the center stood an archway made from twisted vines and delicate flowers that mirrored the portal through which Elena had entered Etheria. Beyond it lay a realm hidden from the eyes of Malachar and his minions, a sanctuary for those like her. As they stepped through the archway, Elena couldn't help but catch her breath. The space opened up into a mystical arena filled with magic energy, surrounded by students, each engaged in rigorous training. Glittering orbs of light floated above their heads, casting a kaleidoscope of colors around them. Laughter and shouts of encouragement echoed off the ancient trees lining the training ground. "Welcome to the Nexus of Magic," Finn said, gesturing proudly at the scene before them. "Here, we learn to hone our abilities and protect Etheria from the shadows." Elena swallowed hard, a mix of excitement and anxiety swirling in her chest. She felt like an outsider among these gifted individuals, each exuding confidence she believed she lacked. As they approached, an older girl with flowing silver hair and a determined gaze noticed them and made her way over. "Finn," she exclaimed, a bright smile illuminating her face. "You brought a new friend." "This is Elena," Finn introduced her. "She's one of us now." "Welcome, Elena," the girl said, extending a hand. "I'm Lyriel. We've heard about your arrival. It's great to have another magic user among us." Elena smiled back, but doubt tugged at the corners of her mind. "I'm not sure how much magic I have," she admitted. "I'm still figuring things out." "You'll find your way," Lyriel assured her. "Everyone here is on their own journey. Just give it time." With that, the group began to gather, forming a circle in the clearing as a figure stepped forward, an imposing boy named Eric with striking blue eyes and a commanding presence. "Listen up," he called, the crowd instantly quieting. "Today, we'll focus on enhancing our abilities, a lesson on manipulation." Finn stood next to Elena, his excitement palpable. "This is it. You'll discover your powers today." As the training commenced, Eric demonstrated a dazzling display of magic, moving objects with a flick of his wrist. Manipulating objects is a fundamental skill, but true strength lies in your ability to merge space and time with your magic. Elena watched, captivated by the way Eric bent the air around him, making the very fabric of reality hum with energy. "Okay, everyone, find a partner and let's practice," Eric instructed, and before she knew it, Finn had grabbed her wrist and pulled her forward. "Let's see what you've got," he said, determination flashing in his eyes. Finding her inner strength took effort, Elena could feel the weight of self-doubt pressing down as she focused on a small stone that lay at their feet. She closed her eyes, imagining the energy surrounding the stone. With a small push, she tried to channel her will. But instead of just lifting the stone, an unexpected surge of power rippled beneath her skin, and she found herself suspended in time, the entire clearing freezing into a tableau of astonishment. Finn's gaze widened in alarm as the world around them held still, colors brightening yet blending into an ethereal glow. Flowers hung in mid-bloom, and even the timid sprites froze mid-flight, their laughter creating a surreal chorus. What is happening?" she gasped, heart racing. A rush of panic filled her, but Finn stepped close, his voice steady as if anchoring her in the moment. "You're doing it, you're manipulating time. Just breathe through it." As Elena struggled to control her growing powers, she felt a ripple spread across the clearing, causing her to grip the edges of reality around her. Slowly, she focused her mind and surrendered to the magic within her. Time began to flow again, and everything resumed as normal, a ripple of awe washed over those watching her. Lyriel, eyes wide with excitement, rushed to her side. "That was incredible. You've got something special." Elena's heart swelled with pride, but quickly was tempered by uncertainty. "I don't know how I did that. What if I can't control it again?" "Don't doubt yourself," Finn encouraged, clapping her on the shoulder. "You just need to practice. And you're not alone." They continued training, and with each exercise, Elena began to discover more about herself and her abilities. She found that she could create portals for brief moments, manipulating space just like time, allowing objects to appear and disappear, a power that both thrilled and frightened her. But with the exhilaration of discovery came the weight of her reality. As they trained, whispers of a darker plan seeped into the conversations around her. Each day, they heard snippets of news, stories about Malakar's growing influence, and about how he was determined to conquer the Nexus. One afternoon, after an intensive training session, Finn pulled Elena aside. "We've been discussing ways to gather resources for training," he said, looking serious. "The Nexus needs to fund our equipment, and we've come up with a risky but potentially rewarding idea." "What is it?" she asked, her curiosity piquing. "We're thinking about staging a small operation, taking from the corrupt market vendors and caches that have sprung up around the realm. We'll make them pay for profiting off the fear Malakar spreads. You'll have to help us use your powers to do this." Elena's stomach tightened. "Steal?
I don't know about this, Finn.
It feels wrong." "Look, I get it," he replied, eyes earnest. "But if we don't do something, we'll just be sitting ducks. Malakar is building a war chest, and we can't let him gain an advantage. We'll be careful, and we won't hurt anyone, just taking back what's been misappropriated." She could see the resolve in his eyes and felt the weight of her own powers pressing against her conscience. "Okay," she decided, uncertainty still lingering in her voice. "But I want to do this right." Finn smiled, relief washing over him. "Together we can figure this out. It's going to take a lot of real practice, but with our training, we can pull this off. Just think, we'll be making a statement that we won't be cowed by Malakar's darkness." As she considered this new venture into the gray realms of morality, she also reflected on how else she could apply her powers. But this venture felt heavy, almost dangerous, a risk that could earn them powerful enemies or draw unwanted attention from Malakar. Elena straightened her shoulders, resolute in her decision. "Let's train hard then. If we're going to do this, I want us to succeed." As they returned to their training with renewed purpose, Elena felt a strange exhilaration sparking within her. She was stepping into a role she had never expected to inhabit, forging her path in a world where the lines between right and wrong seemed blurred. With time, as she practiced manipulation, the art of taking what was not hers, whether it be from corrupted vendors or the machinations of her own insecurities, she resolved to uncover her place in both worlds. She would not be just a pawn. Elena Carter would learn to be a force of magic and strength, gathering allies as they prepared for the inevitable clash against Malakar and the dark forces threatening Etheria and her own world. And as her abilities awakened within her, she knew this was just the beginning. With every lesson learned, every doubt faced, and every theft planned, she would make her stand, for herself, for Etheria, and for the universal balance of magic that united them all. Chapter 6: Friends and Foes. The vibrant sunlight streamed through the lush trees as Elena and Finn approached the enchanted marketplace, a hub of magical activity bustling with energy and life. Stalls adorned with glimmering fabrics and colorful potions lined the pathway, while merchants called out enticing offers, showcasing their wares with flair. The air buzzed with the sounds of laughter, conversation, and the occasional burst of magic. "Welcome to the heart of Etheria," Finn said with a hint of pride in his voice. "This is where we find everything from magical artifacts to enchanted food. It's also where we'll gather intel for our plan." Elena's eyes sparkled with wonder as they wandered through the maze of stalls. She marveled at a vendor who was demonstrating a potion that caused nearby flowers to dance and shimmer. A group of young enchantresses giggled as they tried on delicate charms that glowed with their own inner light. Finn led her to a booth adorned with a sign that read, "Wondrous Wares." Behind the counter stood a young woman with wild curls and a fierce expression. She was busy polishing a set of gleaming swords. "Hey, Neela," Finn called out, and the girl looked up, her face lighting up with recognition and enthusiasm.
"Finn!"
"You made it," she exclaimed, abandoning her work to give him a quick hug. "And who do we have here?" "This is Elena," Finn introduced her. "She's been training with us at the Nexus." Neela stepped forward, her gaze assessing but friendly. "Nice to meet you, Elena. You're the one who froze time during training, right? That was epic. Elena blushed, squeezing her hands together. Yeah, it was unexpected. Still trying to get control of everything. You will. Neela's smile was warm and encouraging, her confidence infectious. Just remember, we're all a bit chaotic when we start out. You'll find your rhythm soon enough. Before Elena could respond, a boy approached from the other side of the stall. He had spiky hair and glasses that glimmered in the sunlight. What's this I hear about time manipulation? He chimed, pulling out a small notebook filled with sketches and tech blueprints. That's impressive. I'm Kieran, a mage with a knack for crafting magical tech. Elena's curiosity piqued at the sight of Kieran's creations, a small, animated device that fluttered around him like a mechanical butterfly, gently glowing. What do you mean by magical tech? She asked, intrigued. Combining the laws of magic with modern technology, Kieran explained, clearly eager to share. This place is full of opportunities for innovation. Neela and I are working on a device to amplify our powers safely. You could help us? Before Elena could consider the offer, Finn interjected, we need to focus on gathering information about Malakar's plans first. We can't let him get his hands on the portals. Neela crossed her arms, her eyes narrowing slightly. You think he has something planned for them? We've heard whispers of a gathering of dark forces. He may have bigger ambitions than we realized. I overheard some vendors discussing Malakar's efforts to harness portal energy, Kieran added, flipping through his notebook. He's trying to create a gateway that doesn't just connect worlds, but channels power from one to the other, an open pathway he can control. Can you imagine the devastation if he succeeded? Elena's heart raced. That's terrible. He could fuel his minions with power from both realms. We have to do something. Exactly, Finn said, urgency creeping into his tone. We need to gather intel and find out where he's hiding his main base of operations. If we can disrupt his plan before it starts, we'll buy Etheria some time. Neela nodded, her passion igniting. I say we take it a step further. If we're going to face Malakar, we need a team. Not just us, but everyone against his forces. This is bigger than just our small group. Elena felt a rush of adrenaline, her determination building. It was clear that forming connections and alliances would be pivotal in their fight. So, we form a pact, she proposed, looking at each of them in turn. We're stronger together. We've got to protect Etheria, and we can share our skills to create a real defense against Malakar's plans. The three nodded in agreement, sealing their alliance with resolute expressions. Agreed, Finn said, a fire lighting in his eyes. We will work together, gather more allies, and thwart Malakar's plot. With their pact made, the group traded ideas and devised a plan for gathering intelligence throughout the marketplace. They split up, each taking different paths to eavesdrop on conversations and uncover any secrets hidden among the magical vendors. Elena, with her newfound friends at her side, wandered through the market stalls, gathering snippets of information about Malakar's movements. She learned of shadowy figures seen lurking at the boundary of Etheria, stirring unease among the vendors and townsfolk. As her confidence grew, so did her connections to the magical world. With each conversation, she felt more rooted in Etheria, each story shared igniting the passion within her. In a narrow alley lined with colorful banners, they met back again, sharing their findings. I overheard someone mentioning a shipment of powerful artifacts going to Malakar, Kieran said. They claim he's building something big, something that could amplify his control over the portals. Neela frowned, grip tightening around the hilt of a sword she crafted. We have to find out where the shipment is coming from and what it entails. If we can sabotage it, it would be a significant blow against him. Elena thought hard. Her powers were still new, but they were growing. Maybe I can use my time manipulation? I could try to freeze the moment when the shipment is moved. If we catch it before it gets to him, we could disrupt his plans. That sounds risky, Finn replied, a mix of concern and admiration in his voice. But it could work. If we synchronize our movements, we could create an opening for you. Let's do it, Elena said, a sense of determination surging through her veins. This wasn't just about her anymore. It was about protecting Etheria and forming bonds that would last a lifetime. As they continued formulating their plan, the bond between them deepened. Neela's fierce spirit, Kieran's innovative mind, and Finn's unwavering support filled the cracks of doubt in Elena's heart. Each laughter shared, each plan made, drew them closer together, not just as allies, but as friends ready to stand against the darkness encroaching on their world. As dusk began to fall, casting a gentle glow on the marketplace, Elena felt a sense of purpose. They were on the brink of something monumental, an adventure intertwined with danger and magic, woven together by the threads of friendship. "We can do this," Elena said firmly as they stood together at the edge of the marketplace, taking in the sights and sounds of Etheria. "We will stop Malachar. Together." And as they began their journey into the unknown, the spark of magic and camaraderie ignited within her, perfectly affirming that friendships forged in battle could withstand any storm. They were not just friends. They were a force to be reckoned with. Together, they would rise against the looming threat of Lord Malachar, writing their own destiny in the tapestry of Etheria. Chapter 7. Secrets Revealed. The Library of Etheria was a marvel of ancient architecture, its arched ceilings stretching high above where enchanted chandeliers glimmered with soft, magical light. Shelves crammed with ancient scrolls and tomes lined the walls, many glowing faintly with energy, while the scent of old parchment and ink filled the air. As Elena stepped inside, she felt a pull of curiosity, an awareness that knowledge dwelled within these walls, knowledge that could change everything. Neela, Finn, and Kieran had encouraged her to explore the library for more information about Malachar's plans, but Elena's heart raced with a deeper desire, a craving to uncover the mysteries of her own lineage. Guided by an instinct she couldn't quite explain, she roamed the aisles, brushing her fingers along the spines of books that seemed to hum under her touch. "Are you okay?" Finn asked, catching up with her. His voice was soft, as if he sensed the gravity of the moment. "I don't know," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. "There's something here, something calling to me." Finn nodded in understanding but stepped back to give her a moment of solitude. She found herself drawn to a particularly ornate book perched on a high shelf, its cover adorned with intricate gold filigree and a depiction of the portals. Elena leaped up gracefully, effortlessly tapping into her growing abilities as she manipulated space, gently bringing the book down to her waiting hands. Dust motes danced in the air as she settled onto an ancient reading table. The library was blissfully quiet, a sanctuary where whispers of the past seemed to swirl around her. Slowly, she opened the leather-bound book, and pages filled with meticulous writing and rich illustrations unveiled themselves. The language was a mix of glyphs and words she could barely process, but as she focused, they began to weave together, a coherent narrative forming in her mind. The book told the story of the portals, their creation, and their purpose. But as she turned each fragile page, her heart quickened at a particular passage. It spoke of a prophecy that linked specific bloodlines to the fate of the portals and the balance between worlds. "And when the daughter of the ancient bloodline awakens her powers, she shall hold the key to control the portals." Elena's breath caught as she continued reading. The text spoke of a great darkness rising, a malevolent force poised to exploit the portals for domination, and a hero destined to thwart that evil. That hero would possess unique abilities to manipulate space and time, an ability that resonated deeply with her own powers. "No," she murmured, realization dawning upon her. Elena traced the words with trembling fingers, confirming her latent fears, the whispers of family tales long forgotten. Could it be? In the heart of the lineage runs the spark of magic, unwavering and strong. The choices of this daughter, forged in friendship and love, will echo through eternity. Only she can navigate the chaos to restore balance, or unleash devastation if she falters. Tears prickled at the corners of her eyes as the truth settled deep within her consciousness. Elena was that daughter. She was linked to a legacy she hadn't fully understood, A legacy that meant her actions in the coming battle against Malachar would not only affect Etheria, but also the world she had come from. Footsteps echoed behind her, breaking her reverie, and she hastily closed the book, hiding her emotions behind a calm demeanor as Finn reappeared. "What did you find?" he asked, his eyes scanning her face. She took a deep breath, the weight of her discovery making her heart feel heavy yet resolute. "I uncovered a prophecy about a daughter of an ancient bloodline, one who holds the fate of the portals and the worlds in her hands. I think it's about me." Finn's eyes widened with a mix of awe and concern. "Elena, that's a huge revelation. But how do you feel about it? This is beyond anything we imagined." Elena hesitated, conflicted. "It feels like too much pressure. What if I fail? What if I can't control my powers?" Finn stepped closer, his voice firm yet gentle. "You're not alone in this. You have us, Neela and Kieran, and every ally we gather. We will stand with you, and you will learn to control those powers. You're stronger than you realize." In that moment, a sense of purpose swept over her, pushing the fears aside. "I need to tell Neela and Kieran. They deserve to know what this means." Together, they gathered Kieran and Neela, who had been exploring nearby tomes on combat and strategy. As they huddled around the table, Elena recounted her discovery, her voice steady but filled with urgency. "I'm a part of a prophecy. My lineage ties me to the fate of the portals," she explained. "If I'm to confront Malachar, my actions will dictate our futures. I need your support." Neela's eyes sparkled with resolve, her warrior spirit ignited. "We will face this together. You're not just a daughter of the bloodline. You're one of us, and we'll find a way to fight by your side." Kieran adjusted his glasses, his mind already racing with possibilities. "And this means we have more reason to refine our skills, gather more intel, and prepare for what's coming. If we can disrupt Malachar's plans, it could shift the balance in our favor." Elena felt a surge of gratitude toward her friends, their support enveloping her like a warm embrace. "Thank you. I won't let you down. Together, we will stop him." The group began brainstorming strategies and refining their approach, discussing how to gather intelligence and resources to confront Malachar's burgeoning power. Their bond grew stronger, fueled by the gravity of their mission. Just as they delved deep into plans and strategies, a soft rustle interrupted their focus. The heavy wooden doors of the library creaked open, revealing a figure cloaked in shadows, an older woman with long, silvery hair and piercing emerald eyes, radiating an aura of mystery. "Elena Carter," she said, her voice resonating through the stone walls. "I have been waiting for you. The prophecy you've uncovered is only the beginning. There are more truths you must learn about your lineage and the powers you wield." Elena's heart raced as she exchanged glances with her friends. Was this woman a foe or an ally? Before she could question her further, the woman stepped into the light, revealing a mark on her arm, a symbol that matched the one inscribed on the ancient book. "Come," she beckoned, her gaze holding an intensity that begged closer inspection. "It is time for the secrets of Etheria to be revealed. Time for you to embrace your destiny." Elena looked at Finn, Neela, and Kieran, each mirror reflecting her uncertainty, yet also a flame of determination. Whatever lay ahead, they would face it together. With a deep breath, she moved forward, ready to unveil the secrets that had been locked away, ready to understand her true connection to the portals and her role in the impending clash against Malachar. The weight of her lineage settled upon her shoulders, but united with her friends, she felt empowered, ready to claim her place in the annals of Etheria's destiny. Together, they would forge not only their future, but the fate of the worlds intertwined. Chapter 8. The Dark Forces Gather. The moon hung low and ominous in the night sky, casting a silvery glow over the jagged spires of Lord Malachar's fortress. Dark clouds swirled above like a tempest, echoing the malevolent energy that radiated from the towering structure. Inside, in the cold, dimly lit chamber, Lord Malachar sat upon an obsidian throne, his features stark and sharp. Shadows flickered around him, morphing into sinister forms, the embodiment of his dark minions. "Bring me news," he commanded, his voice low and venomous. Shadows darted away, swirling like smoke before reforming into a group of hooded figures, their eyes glowing with an eerie light. "My lord," one of the minions hissed, bowing deeply. "We have observed the girl. Elena Carter has arrived in Etheria, and she is gathering allies. She delves into her lineage, unearthing the prophecy that binds her to the fate of the portals." A predatory smile spread across Malakar's lips, revealing sharp teeth. "Ah, the daughter of the ancient bloodline," he mused, leaning forward. "She poses a threat, one that we cannot ignore. If she understands her powers, she could rally others against me. We must crush her spirit before she becomes a beacon of hope." "Yes, my lord," the minion replied, a glimmer of excitement in its voice. "What are your orders?" "Send our warriors," Malakar commanded, a glint of malice dancing in his eyes. "Bring her to me alive. I wish to know her strengths and her weaknesses. The prophecy speaks of her destiny, but I will rewrite it to fit my design." The minions nodded, disappearing into the shadows, ready to carry out their master's dark wishes. Malakar leaned back in his throne, plotting, his mind swirling with wicked possibilities as he prepared for the clash ahead. Meanwhile, Elena and her friends gathered in the hidden alcove of the library, still reeling from the revelations about her lineage. The mysterious woman had disappeared as quickly as she had come, leaving them with more questions than answers. "We need to strengthen our defenses," Kieran suggested, his tone serious. "If Malakar knows about Elena, we could be in serious trouble. We have to prepare. He won't hesitate to come after us." Neela nodded, her jaw set in determination. "Let's go back to the Nexus and train. We can practice our skills and develop a strategy to counter whatever he throws at us." "Agreed," Finn added, an electric edge to his voice. "The more prepared we are, the better our chances of defending Elena. We can't let him get to her first." Elena felt a swell of appreciation for them, their unwavering support grounding her in the face of looming danger. "Thank you. I promise I will do everything I can to protect Etheria and all of you." As they began to gather their belongings, a sudden rush of cold air swept through the library, extinguishing the flickering lights. The temperature plummeted, and the unmistakable sensation of dread skittered up Elena's spine. "Stay close," Finn whispered, eyes darting around. Before they could react, shadows erupted from every corner of the library, swirling in a chaotic frenzy. They coalesced into familiar hooded figures, Malakar's minions. "Capture her," one of the minions screeched, drawing a dark blade that glinted menacingly in the dim light. The friends sprang into action. Neela activated her fierce warrior energy, brandishing the swords she had practiced with, as Kieran began summoning a protective shield of shimmering light. Elena reached deep within herself, summoning the remnants of her emerging powers, but panic threatened to overtake her. "Let's hold them off," Finn shouted, his hands raised in defense. As the first wave of minions lunged at them, Neela deflected a blow with her sword, and Kieran unleashed a blinding burst of energy, sending a few minions crashing against the shelves. The shelves rattled, ancient dust falling like snow as Elena fought to focus her will. "Focus, Elena," Finn encouraged, parrying a blow from another minion. "We can't falter now." She drew a deep breath, attempting to center herself amid the chaos. The shadows swirled around her, and in a moment of clarity, she felt the energy of the portals coursing through her. With a surge of determination, she conjured a wave of force, pushing back against advancing shadows. The wave sent several minions tumbling backward, giving them a moment to regroup. "We have to get out of here," Neela yelled over the clamor.
"Now."
Kieran was already working on a quick escape plan. "The library has a hidden exit. Follow me." They dashed down a narrow corridor that led to a heavy wooden door marked with mysterious symbols. Kieran quickly traced his fingers over the lock, channeling magic into it until it clicked open. One at a time, he urged as they raced through the door, emerging into a dimly lit passageway that descended into cool, dark stone. The minions were hot on their heels, and Elena's heart pounded in sync with her pulse, adrenaline surging through her veins.
Go.
Go! Finn shouted as they hurried down the corridor, darkness closing in behind them. In their haste, they stumbled into a cavern filled with glowing crystals that pulsed with gentle light. The cave opened up into a vast underground hall, and just as they thought they had escaped, a shadow breaching through the crystal-studded walls erupted into a cacophony of swirling dark energy, blocking their path. "This way!" Neela yelled, pointing to another opening off to the side. They dashed toward it, dodging as the dark energy crackled around them. Elena could feel the weight of fate hovering on the edge, her powers blending with the energy of the crystals. "We can't just run," she declared, reaching for the energy within. "We have to fight back." Kieran placed a hand on her shoulder, grounding her. "We need to focus our magic together, not just react. If we channel our energy, we can create a barrier." Neela nodded, determination glinting in her eyes. "You're right. If we combine our strengths, we can push them back long enough to escape." They formed a circle, each heart pounding in synchrony, drawing the energy from the crystals around them. Elena closed her eyes, allowing herself to tap into the reserves of magic flowing through her, feeling the warmth of her friends next to her.
"Now!"
Kieran shouted, and they released a surge of magic, a brilliant wave of light that momentarily illuminated the cavern, pushing back the encroaching darkness and forcing the minions to stumble. Realizing their chance, they sprinted through the newly cleared passage, the light beginning to fade as shadowy forms regained their momentum. They could hear the hisses and grunts of the minions behind them, more determined than ever to seize Elena. "Keep moving," Finn urged, leading them through the labyrinth of tunnels, their footsteps echoing against the stone. Finally, they burst through another door, collapsing into a lush, overgrown courtyard outside the fortress. The crisp night air welcomed them like a long-lost friend, the stars above twinkling with a promise of hope. They skidded to a halt, panting and wide-eyed, and turned to look back at the foreboding fortress, the shadows swirling ominously against the stone. "They won't stop," Neela gasped. "Malakar will send more. We have to prepare. This is just the beginning." Elena nodded solemnly, but deep within her, resolve was ignited. "We will face him. We will learn, and we will grow stronger. We will fight for Etheria and for each other." As they stood together in the moonlight, their spirits intertwined, they understood the battle ahead was fraught with danger. However, they also knew they were not alone. United in purpose, they began their journey back to the Nexus, ready to gather knowledge and prepare for the darkness that loomed closer with each passing moment. They were no longer just friends. They were allies in a fight that would determine the fate of their worlds. Chapter 9. The Gathering Storm. The hidden rebel base was a sanctuary nestled deep within the lush expanse of Etheria's enchanted forest. Massive trees with gnarled branches intertwined to form a natural canopy, their leaves shimmering with ethereal light. Within this serene yet powerful setting, the rebels were busy strategizing for the impending confrontation against Lord Malakar. Elena stood at the head of a long wooden table, laden with scrolls, maps, and glowing crystals, surrounded by faces filled with determination. Finn, Neela, Kieran, and a group of allies they had gathered from various realms, wizards, warriors, and creatures of magic, awaited her next words. The weight of the moment pressed heavily upon her shoulders, yet she was acutely aware that this was not just any plan. This was the foundation of their future. "Thank you all for coming," Elena began, her voice steady, albeit laced with nervous energy. "We stand on the brink of a battle that could decide the fate of both Etheria and the world I come from." The room fell silent, all eyes on her. She could feel the power coursing through her, an urge to command, to lead, but that was overshadowed by a swell of doubt. What if she failed her friends? What if she couldn't harness her growing abilities? "First, we need to discuss our approach," Kieran said, easing her tension. He unrolled a map dotted with markers indicating key locations, the fortress, supply routes, and the positions of Malakar's minions. We have scouts on the ground who've been observing Malakar's movements. We know he is preparing a major assault of his own. We need to strike first, Neela asserted, her voice resolute. We can't let them catch us off guard again. If we can take down some of his outposts, we might weaken his forces significantly. Elena nodded, feeling a sudden rush of clarity. I can teleport us there, but we have to be careful. I've been experimenting with my powers, and I think I can do more than just move us from one place to another. Finn raised an eyebrow, curiosity flashing in his eyes. What do you mean? I think I can manipulate time, she confessed, her heart racing with the implications. Not just the space around us, but time itself. If I can stop time or create windows where we can act without him knowing. The room erupted with murmurs of surprise and caution. That's incredible, Elena, Kieran exclaimed, excitement mingling with concern. But you need to understand the implications. Manipulating time can be extremely dangerous. It can affect your own existence and our connection to reality. Yes, Neela agreed, her tone serious. If you lose control, it could have catastrophic effects. We need to strategize so you can practice safely and effectively. Elena took a deep breath, weighing their words carefully. I know it's a lot to manage, but I feel this power surging within me, like a well that's just waiting to overflow. I want to learn how to control it. I need to learn. The discussion turned practical as they divided into smaller groups to discuss specific roles in the upcoming attack. Allies from different realms shared insights on their own powers, some useful for reconnaissance, others for combat. Elena observed her friends, their unwavering support soothing some of her anxiety. Together, they were determined to meet Malakar head-on. Just as plans began to take shape, a somber figure stepped forward, an elven archer named Lyriel, her eyes piercing and serious. I've seen the darkness that Malakar nurtures. He is not merely a man, he is a force of chaos and destruction. This attack will require everything you have, and you must be ready for anything. Breathe, Neela said, putting a reassuring hand on Elena's shoulder. We're in this together. Trust yourself, trust us. You have the potential to do great things. As the assembly continued, Elena felt a flicker of burgeoning confidence. Perhaps she could face the darkness ahead. Perhaps the magic coursing through her veins was not just a boon to be feared, but a tool that could shape the course of their battle. The following days were filled with arduous training, each member of the group sharpening their skills. Elena spent time honing her abilities, practicing not just teleportation, but learning to feel the ebb and flow of time itself. With each attempt, she felt the timeline around her flicker like a candle's flame. One afternoon, while immersed in her practice, she found herself standing in a small clearing, a pocket of peace amid the chaos. She attempted to visualize a moment in time, the instant she first discovered her powers, the fear and uncertainty she felt. She focused with everything she had, reaching out to the fabric of time, willing it to freeze. Suddenly, the world around her stilled. The sounds of the forest, the rustling leaves, the chirping birds, halted in mid-song. She could see the fluttering of a butterfly's wings captured in perfect suspension. It was both exhilarating and terrifying. Elena, a voice broke through the stillness, and she whipped around to see Finn standing just beyond the clearing, his face a mask of surprise. What did you do? A rush of panic surged through her as she realized she had stepped too far into mastery without understanding the repercussions. I stopped time, she exclaimed, her voice echoing in the silence. Be careful, he warned, stepping cautiously toward her. You can't stay in this state too long. You might lose your grasp on reality if you're not careful. With a determined focus, Elena concentrated and visualized the world resuming its flow. Time rippled back to its natural state, and the forest exploded back into vibrant life. The butterfly fluttered away, and she collapsed to the ground, breathless and exhilarated. You did well, Finn said, kneeling beside her. But now you understand the responsibility that comes with such power. You have to be cautious. I will be, she promised, a new resolve blossoming in her chest. This is my part of the fight. I can help us outmaneuver him. As the weather shifted in the days ahead, a brewing storm reflected the mounting tension in the air. The dormant clouds thickened, warning of the uncertain future etched upon the horizon. The day of the confrontation loomed ever closer. The morning of their planned strike found the rebels united outside the base, anticipation crackling like electricity as they gathered their weapons and coordinated final strategies. Elena felt the weight of her duty loom over her, but alongside that weight was something far more powerful, the growing sense of belonging with her companions. "Let's summarize," Kieran called, rallying the group. "Our main objectives are to disrupt Malakar's supply lines and weaken his forces, ultimately giving us an opening to confront him directly." Neela squeezed Elena's hand, her fierce spirit glowing. "We've got your back, Elena. Remember, trust in yourself and in us. You're not alone anymore." Elena nodded, determination sparking in her core. "I trust you all, and I'm ready for this. I'm going to use everything I've learned." As they prepared to teleport to the outskirts of Malakar's territory, Elena took a final glance at her friends. With the forest sprawling behind them, they stood together, a family forged not by blood, but by choice and shared purpose. "Together," she called, and they joined hands. With a surge of magic, Elena felt the rush of energy as time and space bent to her will, transporting them into the very heart of the darkness that awaited them, the heart of Malakar's domain. As they emerged into the stark, shadowy landscape, the fortress loomed ahead, and the storm she had sensed began to thrum on the horizon, both in the world and within her. They were ready, and the gathering storm would soon clash with their resolve. Together, they would face Malakar and his darkness, unwavering in their bonds and in the magic that flowed through them all. Chapter 10. The Battle for the Portals. The Portal Nexus was a breathtaking expanse, a shimmering realm where swirling energies converged, a kaleidoscope of colors and lights that danced like stars, each portal glowing and pulsating with the raw essence of different realms. But beneath the beauty of this mystical place loomed a palpable tension, thickening the air like a storm cloud ready to burst. Elena and her allies emerged in the heart of the Nexus, their arrival marked by an exhilarating rush of magic that surged through her veins. She could feel the potent energies surrounding her, amplifying her own powers and heightening her senses. But a shadow deep within her mind whispered fears that clawed at her resolve. What if she were not powerful enough? What if she lost control? "Stay alert," Kieran shouted, snapping her back to reality. The group formed a tight formation, their weapons drawn, glancing around the vast landscape that seemed to stretch on indefinitely. Just as they prepared to strategize, the air crackled ominously, and dark figures began to emerge from the depths of the shadows. Malakar's minions, a wave of darkness pouring forth, ready to lay siege to the heart of the Nexus. "Here they come," Neela yelled, rushing forward with her sword drawn, the gleam of light reflecting off its blade as she charged at the nearest dark figure. Elena tightened her grip on her staff, heart racing with the adrenaline of the impending battle. "We can do this. We have to protect the portals. Focus on the convergence," Finn called out, his voice rising above the chaos as he hurled a burst of magic at a group of approaching minions. "We need to make sure Malakar doesn't synchronize the portals for his dark purpose." The battle erupted into chaos. Neela cut through the shadows with explosive strikes. Kieran wielded a protective barrier that pulsed with light, while Finn sent waves of elemental magic crashing into enemies, each spell deflecting his fear of failure. Elena felt the rising tide of power within her, but her heart thudded with uncertainty. What if her magic spiraled out of control? What if she lost everything? She inhaled slowly, channeling her fear into focus, envisioning how to best harness her powers without succumbing to chaos. "Remember what we practiced," Kieran shouted, blocking an assault and sending another shattering spell toward the oncoming horde. His voice anchored her momentarily. "Use the time freeze, Elena. We need every advantage." Taking a breath, Elena felt the pulsing energy of the Nexus resonating with her own magical frequency. She lifted her staff and concentrated, focusing her thoughts on the fabric of time around her. The world began to still, colors flooding with vivid intensity as time froze for all but her allies. Now, she instructed, guiding them through their next moves as they advanced on the frozen foes. They struck with a calculated fury, words of reassurance echoing in her mind. However, even while they remained focused, a sliver of doubt pierced her concentration. As they unleashed their fury upon Malakar's forces, the dark wizard appeared, his presence like a shadow that consumed the very air around them. "Foolish children," Malakar's voice boomed, dripping with contempt. "You think you can thwart my plans? You are mere sparks against the abyss. I will not let you destroy what we've built." Elena shouted, feeling the moment of her past failures inching closer beneath the surface of her resolve. "You're right," he sneered, gaze fixed directly on her. "You're nothing without your friends. But alone you are weak." Rage ignited within her, forcing Elena to confront not only Malakar but her innermost doubts.
No.
"I am more than just the sum of my fears." With a surge of will, she reached deep into the core of her magic, allowing the essence of the Nexus to flow through her as she would never let that darkness drown out her light. Suddenly, the vibrancy of the portal surged, reflecting her emotions. "Watch as I take away your power," she exclaimed, not just to him, but to herself. And then, with overwhelming force, she unleashed her magic. Time rippled around her as she expanded her abilities, engulfing the area in a wave of scintillating energy that bent reality. The Nexus responded, swirling portals around Malakar, distorting his dark forces, forcing them out of sync, rendering their efforts futile. "No!" Malakar howled, caught off guard by the sudden shift. Shadows fizzled around him as he scrambled. The energy of the Nexus began to consume him. In that moment, Elena felt herself on the precipice of true strength, the realization of her potential washing over her. At the same time, she could feel pieces of herself unraveling. The human side she had clung to slipping away as she poured all of her being into the magic of Etheria, becoming more than what her fears presupposed. Sensing the shift, the tide turned in favor of her allies. "Now's our chance," Kiran shouted, sensing the weakness in Malakar's defenses as he rallied, shooting bursts of light toward their foe. Yet as the shadows began to dissipate, Elena felt something shift inside. In her pursuit of power, she was losing her connection to her humanity, to her emotions, her friends, her very essence. As she concentrated on maintaining her growing powers, growing brighter and more radiant, she suddenly became aware of the price of her newfound strength. All around her, her friends were fighting valiantly, defending each other, but she couldn't hold on to both. The magic was too powerful, and she could feel the pull of her human side fading. "Elena!" Finn's voice cut through the chaos, snapping her back to consciousness as she watched him take on multiple enemies alone, his back toward her.
"We need you. Don't lose who you are.
"Remember us." His words bore into her heart like shards of light, flickering against the impending dark. With sheer willpower, she pulled her magic back, forcing herself to engage with the ebb and flow of her humanity. In that moment, she understood. Her strength didn't lie solely in her powers, but in the bonds forged with her friends. The realization ignited her magic anew, and she conjured an immense surge that enveloped the battleground, creating an ethereal barrier that protected her companions, pushing back the encroaching shadows while keeping her essence intact. Together, she called, bringing the others closer to her as they joined forces once more, their magics mingling, a tapestry of light weaving against the looming darkness. With one last surge of strength, they launched an all-out assault on Malakar. Mila thrust forward, sword glowing with pure light as she struck at the darkness. Kiran summoned a torrent of energy that enveloped their foe, while Finn called down a storm of elemental fury. United, they became an inseparable force. With one final push, Elena concentrated all of her magic, the embodiment of their unity, into one brilliant beam toward Malakar. "This ends now." The energy shot forth, engulfing the dark wizard in blinding light. His form twisted and shifted, darkness devouring itself under the brilliance of their combined powers. With a deafening scream, Malachar was consumed, writhing in a cyclone of ethereal light until silence. The battle paused. For an instant, nothing moved, like a dream held in stasis. And then, as abruptly as it had begun, the darkness shattered, and the echoes of the portals flowed freely, as if sighing in collective relief. Yet amid the victory, Elena felt the crushing weight of her transformation. As the magic enveloped her, she glanced down at herself. The shimmering essence of magic veiled her form, but she felt her grasp on humanity flickering like a dying flame. "Elena!" Finn shouted breathlessly, rushing to her side, eyes wide with concern. "What's happening?"
I
can feel it. I'm becoming more magic than human," she admitted, despair creeping into her voice. "I can feel my connection slipping away, and I don't want to lose you." "Hold on," Neela declared, stepping closer and reaching for her. "You can still fight this. You've got the strength of all of us within you." Kieran joined, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You are the embodiment of this world's magic now, but your humanity is what gives you strength. Remember who you are and fight to hold on to it." With their voices echoing in her heart and weaving through the remnants of her dissipating humanity, Elena closed her eyes, focusing on the warmth of their friendship, the laughter, the battles fought together, the love shared. "I am not just magic. I am Elena. I am more." Drawing upon the nexus, she conjured the final threads of her humanity, wrapping her essence around it, binding her existence to her true self. Light poured from her, coalescing into a radiant form that shimmered with the essence of her friends. Together, she cried again, a surge of affirmation cascading through her. As the ground beneath them began to shimmer with the magic of the portals, Elena felt a renewed sense of purpose wash over her. Each portal flickered, and she realized she had not lost herself. She had transformed, evolved, becoming an integral part of the fabric of magic itself while retaining her heart. As they stood together, a force against the dark, they gazed at the nexus. Their victory echoed through every portal that pulsed with hope, every realm promising a new beginning. The portal nexus shimmered with vibrant colors reflecting their triumph over Malachar, a land forever altered yet ever resonating with promise. But Elena understood well the cost of power. The battle was won, but as she looked into the future, she knew the journey was far from over. Together with her friends, she would forge a new path, navigating the realm of magic and humanity, united in purpose against whatever darkness loomed ahead, boldly stepping into a destiny awaiting its true champions. Chapter 11. Returning Home. The aftermath of the battle at the Portal Nexus was a fragile piece woven together by the threads of hope and determination. The shimmering portals that had once been conduits for Malachar's dark ambitions now pulsed with vibrant energy, resonating with the victories etched into the very fabric of Etheria. Elena stood at the edge of the Nexus, surrounded by her friends, the echoes of their triumph still dancing in the air around them. Yet amidst the joy and celebration, a heavy realization settled within her heart. The last remnant of Malachar's power had dissipated, but the reflections of her own choices loomed large as the time to decide approached. "Are you ready, Elena?" Neela asked, her voice tinged with both excitement and worry. "We can't remain here forever." Elena stared at the portal that flickered with the hues of her home, a swirling vortex that whispered of familiar streets, comforts, and the life she had known before this extraordinary journey began. It was a gateway to everything she had left behind, and yet it felt like an anchor, holding her back from something deeper. I don't know, Neela," she replied softly, her eyes glistening with uncertainty. "I want to help, to stay and explore this world and my powers, but I also feel the pull of home. I can't shake the thought that both worlds need me." Finn moved closer, his features serious but kind. "You've become a part of both realms, Elena. You're not just a resident of Etheria anymore. You're tied to its magic and its people. But home needs you too. Your family, your friends. They all rely on you. Elena started, then paused as she looked up at the vast, swirling colors around her. The essence of Etheria pulsed in sync with her heartbeat, reminding her of the life she had saved here, the bonds forged, and the battles fought alongside her friends. What if I choose one over the other? Will I regret it? We know you'll always come back to us, Kieran assured her, stepping up to her side. After everything we've been through, you don't need to decide between worlds. You can be the bridge between us, helping both sides grow. You can use your magic to protect us all. His words resonated with her, planting seeds of understanding that grew deeper. A bridge. The thought washed over her like sunlight breaking through the dawn's fog. She had gained so much wisdom, power, and insight throughout her journey. Instead of being torn between two worlds, she could unite them. Taking a deep breath, Elena's heart surged with newfound conviction. You're right. It's not about choosing one life over another. I have the potential to nurture both worlds, sharing the magic of Etheria with my own, and ensuring we all learn from one another. Neela smiled, her expressive eyes gleaming with pride. Exactly. Your magic can be a source of strength for both realms. And living in two worlds will allow you to grow in ways you can't even imagine yet. Elena stepped forward, gazing into the portal as memories flooded her mind. Her home, laughter of friends, and the love of her family. It all felt like a part of her, undeniable and cherished. But Etheria had woven itself into her heart too, revealing new facets of strength and purpose she was now ready to embrace. I'll return home, but I promise to come back to Etheria, she declared, her voice filled with determination. I need to connect the magic of this world to my own and show everyone what we can create together. With newfound purpose, Elena turned back to her friends, who stood united, support radiating from them like a beacon. Thank you, all of you, for believing in me, for fighting alongside me. This isn't goodbye, just the beginning of something even greater. So, when will we see you again? Kieran asked, a playful smile breaking through the tension. I'll be back before you know it, Elena grinned, feeling the warmth of friendship swelling in her heart. I'll start finding ways to connect our worlds and share what I've learned, no matter how long it takes. With the weight of her decision settling comfortably within her, she approached the portal. Elena could feel the magic thrumming beneath her fingertips, wrapping her in a familiar embrace. The swirling hues beckoned her while the air crackled with anticipation. I'll carry Etheria with me, she promised, clutching her staff tightly. And I'll be a guardian of both worlds. With one last look back at her friends, each of them shining with pride, hope, and love, Elena stepped through the portal. As she did, waves of vibrant energy enveloped her, pulling her into the embrace of shimmering light. The world spun and shifted, and in a heartbeat, she found herself standing in familiar surroundings, a quiet street, bathed in the warm glow of sunlight, with the fragrant scent of blooming flowers drifting through the air. She was home. But along with that familiarity came the knowledge of all she had learned, the magic she now possessed intertwined with her very essence. Everything felt different, more alive and vivid. Elena, a voice called out, pulling her from her thoughts. She turned to see her family rushing toward her, expressions of joy and relief on their faces.
Mom, Dad.
Tears of happiness filled her eyes as she rushed into their embraces, feeling the warmth of home enveloping her. I missed you so much. As they hugged tightly, Elena felt a shift within her. This was her home, pulsing with its own kind of magic, one that had fueled her growth and shaped her into who she had become. But she made a promise to herself. This was only the beginning of her journey. Elena had become a bridge between two worlds, and she would set forth on a new path that would lead her back to Etheria. She'd carry the magic of unity, explore her abilities, and encourage both realms to learn from one another, all while cherishing the family and friends waiting for her back at home. And so, with a heart full of hope and her spirit soaring, Elena began the adventure of a lifetime, knowing that she belonged to both worlds, forever connected through magic, love, and the courage to forge her destiny. Chapter 12. A New Beginning. The air shimmered with an unmistakable radiance as Elena stepped into her hometown, a familiar place that now felt vibrantly transformed. Colors danced a bit more vividly. The sun glinted off the edges of rustling leaves, and the laughter of children echoed in the distance like the sweet melody of home. Elena paused, taking a deep breath of the crisp air. Everything felt alive, charged. The world had changed, and perhaps more importantly, so had she. Her heart swelled with a mix of nostalgia and a newfound sense of purpose. As she walked through the streets, she couldn't shake the feeling of being different, as if every encounter buzzed with energy. She was now a bridge, infused with the magic of Etheria, a protector of both realms and deeply aware of the responsibilities that came with it. "Hey, Elena," a voice called, pulling her from her reverie. She turned to see her friends, Mia and Jake, hurriedly approaching. Their familiar faces lit up as they recognized her. "Elena!" Mia exclaimed, running to give her a bone-crushing hug. "You're back. We missed you so much." "I missed you guys too," Elena replied, her smile widening at the warmth of their friendship. They had been her anchors during the turbulent years of high school, and now, it felt like they were ready to share in her new journey. Jake joined the embrace, grinning from ear to ear. "So, tell us about your adventures. Seriously, you have to fill us in on everything." With a soft laugh, Elena began recounting tales of Etheria, the breathtaking landscapes, the fierce battles, and how she had harnessed her powers. As she spoke, she could feel their excitement growing. They were drawn into her experiences, sharing in the wonder of her journey. "I can't believe you fought an evil wizard." Jake's eyes sparkled with admiration. "That's like something out of a movie." Elena chuckled, humbled yet exhilarated. "You have no idea how magical it was, literally. But there's so much more. I've tapped into a deeper part of myself, and I'm starting to explore my magical abilities here too." "Wait, you mean you can do magic here now?" Mia's face lit up with surprise. "That's incredible. What can you do?" With a twinkle in her eye, Elena demonstrated a small spark of magic, conjuring a flickering orb of light in her palm. It danced around her fingers, illuminating their awestruck faces. "Just a little something to start," she said, grinning. "And there's so much more to explore. Can we join you?" Jake asked eagerly. "I mean, how awesome would it be to be part of your magical trainings?" A wave of warmth washed over her. It felt so right having her friends alongside her. "Of course. I'd love that." The following weeks were a whirlwind of reconnections, school, and personal growth. The once mundane halls of Westfield High shimmered with new possibilities as Elena embraced her dual identity. With every passing day, the vibrant magic of Etheria spilled into her everyday life, guiding her actions and inspiring her to weave magic into the mundane. In the evenings, Elena would meet with Mia and Jake in the secluded woods nearby, a place transformed into their own magical sanctuary. Here, she pored over books of spells, her heart racing with excitement and nervousness. "Okay, so what's next?" Jake asked one night, surrounded by the twinkling glow of her magic illuminating their makeshift study. "Elena, you have to teach us something cool," Mia chimed in, biting her lip in anticipation. With a playful grin, Elena began to explain the art of elemental magic, showcasing how to harness energy from the natural world around them. From whispering to the breeze to coaxing water to dance on her fingertips, each lesson unfolded like petals of a blooming flower. As the trio spent more time together, Elena realized just how much she cherished their friendship. They listened to her stories, applauded her successes, and comforted her during moments of vulnerability. Their loyalty bolstered her confidence like an invisible shield, empowering her to push the boundaries of her magical abilities. Yet, beneath that joy flickered a sense of responsibility. With her new powers came the understanding that her role was greater than mere exploration. Dark forces could still linger, and Elena knew she would need her friends by her side when new challenges arose. She took long walks alone in the evenings to reflect, her mind a tapestry of thought woven tightly with determination and hope. The echoes of her past mistakes and fears still hovered, but now they were threads that reminded her of her strength. She had faced darkness head-on and emerged not only unscathed, but transformed. It was during one such reflective walk that a sudden tremor rippled through her, a whisper of magic stirring in the air. Startled, she paused at the edge of a familiar spot, the old oak tree where she and her friends used to hang out. Leaves rustled, swirling as if caught in an unseen storm. "Something's off," she murmured to herself, instinctively reaching for her staff. A flicker of energy warned her that she was no longer alone. Then she saw it, a shadow flickering at the boundary of her vision. It was a figure cloaked in dark robes, lurking just beyond the perimeter of light. Tentatively, she called out, "Who's there?" But the shadow vanished into the trees, a fleeting reminder that Etheria's magic didn't remain confined beyond the portals. It had seeped into her world, too, bringing with it echoes of its past. A rush of adrenaline surged through her. Her journey wasn't over. It was just beginning. She raced back to her friends, her heart pounding with urgency. "We need to meet tonight." There was something out there, something dark. In the glow of her friends' faces, she shared the details as they gathered beneath the stars. The moon hung low in the sky, casting ethereal light around them, and as she spoke, she felt their resolve strengthen. "We have to be ready for whatever comes next," she told them, a fierce determination in her voice. "Together, we'll confront whatever darkness emerges, just like we did in Etheria." Mia reached for Elena's hand, squeezing it tightly. "Whatever it is, we'll handle it. We have your back, always." Jake nodded, his expression serious. "We're in this together. You're more than just our friend. You're our hero." As they stood together, united in their purpose, Elena felt an overwhelming sense of belonging. She had forged her identity through trials and triumphs, learning that true strength lay not only in magic, but in the unyielding bonds of friendship and loyalty. With hearts interlinked, they began to plan their next steps, each word pregnant with meaning as they prepared to face the unknown. A new beginning awaited them, full of the promise of adventure, courage, and the glorious magic that intertwined their worlds. Little did they know, the tapestry of fate was unfurling further still, and with Elena at the helm, a protector, a bridge, and a friend, the future of both realms was full of endless possibilities. And thus, the beginning of their extraordinary lives continued,